It's Do Time with Pastor Steph.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. Rise and shine. You're on with this Do Time with Pastor Steph. How are you this morning? That's what I like to hear. That's what I like to hear. For this is the day the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. So, where were you all week? Well, I'm going to give you a few highlights of the week. We started off shaking the Monday morning blues in our relationship dilemmas with the Do Time crew. And we talked about the guy who had the gorgeous girlfriend. And after they've been dating for a while, she invites him over to the house for dinner and a movie. Well, when he walked up in there, he said from the moment he put his foot across the threshold, it was nasty. Yes, he said dishes in the sink, clothes and trash piled up and running over. And, they sat down. They did watch that movie. But when he left, he called her back and said, this is it. I can't, I'm just not interested in this relationship anymore. And she told him that, hey, you used me. But he didn't tell her why. And the only reason why is because she was filthy. Why wouldn't you tell her she was filthy if that's what it was? So, the Do Time crew had, a bit of advice for him and those who are like him. Listen, be honest. Be honest, especially if someone is going to turn around and accuse me of using them. No, let me just tell you what the real deal is. So, hey, that wasn't very smart of him after all. Well, we had our girlfriend Vivian on Wednesday with her socially conscious segment, and we talked about the New York City animal shelters that are so overwhelmed that the poor little animals are in crates, they're in the hallways and all the like. They cannot facilitate taking any more animals. So they're asking the public to please, if it's in your heart to rescue one of these animals, please do so. Well, the reason why the animals ain't got no place to go is because the owners have no place to go. $700,000 and up. It's costing New York City residents to rent a home or an apartment. Can you imagine that? Oh my goodness. Well, they claim that they have a remedy. We've talked about this before, and that's lending homeowners money so that they can either fix up their basement to get another income, or if they have some extra space on their property to do that. And we don't know how well that's going to work, because now you have an influx of people. But remember, all of this was geographically laid out. How many supermarkets, how many schools, all this stuff was weighed out when they put these neighborhoods together. So now, it may help in one area, but as always, there's a serious imbalance. We talked about one of the youngest, or possibly the youngest, May in Baltimore, who has successfully turned that city around, an all-time low in crime in 50 years. So big ups to him, and keep up the good work. And we hope that others pay attention to the things that you have done. And listen, no man is an island. There's nowhere in the world he could do that all by himself. So, we know it took you and a team. But you know what? it's a great leader that can turn everything around. It's a great leader that can put that team together or stimulate that team to make it happen. So big ups to you. And he's on this side of the fence. So, hey, very, very good. Well, Therapeutic Thursday rolled around, and there's some things, behaviors, trends that we talked about yesterday that Christian people should stay out of. And one of the things, they called it the hidden bond of casual sex and the lasting scars it leaves. Let me tell you something. Ain't nothing like having premarital sex and it goes wrong and you're scarred in many, many, many ways. Don't kid yourself. You know, people like to walk off with their head held high, all right, I'm good, and you're not good. One of the things that was brought up was the intermingling of spirits. And I have always said, you can get all the condoms you want. That'll stop the STD. However, there is no shield when you exchange demons. Yeah. All those demonic spirits transferring from person to person. Now, here's the thing. The Spirit of the Lord and the demonic spirits cannot dwell in the same temple. And the Word of God says that. However, that's for people who are non-believers, who are not covered by the Spirit. However, for those of us who are, no, we may not get that internal exchange, but all the residual, all the residue, all the nastiness, all the filth. We just got finished talking about the guy who walked up into the girl's apartment and he said from the moment he stepped up in there, it was filthy. Ain't nothing more filthy than having the enemy and the aroma of sex, premarital sex all over you. And once those spirits start, listen, the Bible tells you that once you sleep with the prostitute, you're one. You're one in many shapes, forms, and fashions. So you know what? Stay away. Stay away. Stay away. The other thing they warned that Christian people should stay away from, the trend, is understanding that shared spiritual beliefs matter in relationships. You better believe it does. And that's one of the reasons why a lot of relationships are not successful. If you believe one thing and they believe another thing, and you're not coming together to agree, then it's not going to work. And it's going to have some troubled waters. The Word of God says, how can two walk together if they don't agree? You should not be unequally yoked. It is not just a believer and a non-believer. Unequally yoked is quite a few areas. So pay attention. Get to know the person and what they believe before you become intertwined with them. Because let me tell you something, it is nothing worse than being connected to a person whose spiritual beliefs are not the same, because you're going to be torn. You're going to be torn. Don't make no mistake. You're going to be torn. And the last thing we talked about was the truth about living together too soon. In other words, don't live together before the rings are exchanged. And it is officially time to live together. Yeah. Listen, Pastor KL gave an crazy analogy yesterday. So I need you to go back and listen, because I sure can't repeat what he said. But I will say this. There is a saying that's been out for centuries. Why buy the milk if the cow is for free? You're giving of yourself to any individual and you're playing house, but you're not getting the benefits of being married. And why cheat yourself? Why cheat yourself? Just wait. Wait for what God has ordained. And I ain't gonna say it's not gonna, there's not gonna be no bumps in the road, because to know a person is to live with them. And as Shanti said yesterday, to know a person is to watch after the Lord starts dealing with them. Well said. It's not until you're in that close proximity. And a lot of times, people don't let you know how they're not willing to compromise. And people don't let you know how they're going to stand firm on whatever foundation that they have. And now your whole house is in an uproar and a turmoil. We don't know how we're going to raise kids until we have them. Oh, we don't know what's going to happen until mama start visiting just one too many times. We're not going to know what's going to happen until mama start visiting one too many times and don't know how to keep her mouth shut. We don't know what's going to happen after mama starts visiting and she's meddling or she's telling you how to raise the kids. And you two have already discussed what you were going to do, but he won't open up his mouth and say, yo, it's not until you get underneath that one roof that you start finding out some real interesting things. Yeah, the representative has not just been showing up. That, listen, if I've never lived with you, are we going to talk about how you put the toothpaste cap on? Should we get a flip toothpaste cap, or should we get one that screws on? Yo, all of this stuff matters. So listen, take your time, get some counseling, and let God take the wheel. All right? Listen, that's how we spent our week. So many things have been discussed here on this Due Time with Pastor Steph. You need to go back and watch or go back and listen. Either one, you will not be you won't be satisfied. You'll want more and more and more. Okay. Well, today is Freestyle Friday, and we get to do whatever we want to do. We'll talk to the men is what we do. So I can't wait to get to them. I got some little bit of celebrity news. You know how we do on Fridays. And go ahead and go get that healthy breakfast. Go tell somebody, anybody, that it's Due Time with Pastor Steph is on. And whatever you do, don't go anywhere, because we will be right back.
Gastroenterologist, and here are 3 drinks that can lower your cancer risk. The last one is my absolute favorite. But first, green tea. It is packed with antioxidants like catechins. Matcha is a concentrated form of green tea and therefore even more powerful. Second, green smoothie. Blend leafy greens like spinach or kale with cucumber, celery, and a little ginger. It is nutrient dense and anti-inflammatory. And last, and my favorite, turmeric latte. Curcumin fights inflammation and has anti-cancer properties.
Okay. Yeah, that was rehearsal. That was rehearsal. Oh, welcome back to It's Due Time with Pastor Steph. And it is Freestyle Friday. And we are doing whatever it is we want to do. Well, the first thing I have to do is say good morning to all my loyal viewers out there. And the only way I know you're out there, because I can surely see that you're out there, is to give me a shout out. Okay? All righty. Well, the first shout out this morning is to my boy Terrence. Hey, Terrence, good morning. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Today's your day, Terrence, because all the men will be here. Yeah, okay. Oh, we got our girl Ketty in the house. Good morning, Ketty. How are you? Thank you so much for joining us. We've got Miss Erlima. Hey there, Miss Erlima. How are you? Thank you so much for joining us this morning. I see my girl, Miss Grace. Good morning, Miss Grace. Good morning, good morning, good morning. So good to have you on with us this morning. Yep, he says, yes, my group, Terrence. Yes. Well, we cannot go any further without saying good morning to the ladies that hold it down in the background who keep us live each and every morning. Let's say good morning to our girl Shantice. Hey, Shantice, good morning. Thank you so much. And our girl Anika. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining us. And you can always check in later. You know, maybe you didn't want to say anything yet. It's okay. But check in. Let me know you're out there, because I will definitely shout you out. Okay? All right. Well, you know what we do on Friday mornings. We get us some kind of trivia about our entertainers or anything that has something to do with the entertainment field. And this morning, they have given us a list of African American A-listers who starred at one point in canceled shows. So in other words, you know, it's not like if you got canceled at one time, that was it for you. No, you know, you struck gold. And if you know of somebody, because I got a couple of A-listers who I love to see on the screen now, or in my favorite, sitcom or series, that at one point they was like, but they got that right role. So that's what we're talking about here this morning. Well, the first one is Viola Davis. Well, we know she's blockbuster. And at one point back in 2000, she starred in City of Angels. Now, I see another face here that I don't remember quite being in City of Angels, but it was a flop for her back then. But look at how she's come up. And I think what really did it for her was How to Get Away with Murder. Now, I could be wrong, but that's what I think really helped her rise to the top. Oh, Michael B. Jordan. Now, we know he is an A-lister, and he starred back in 2009 in The Assistants. Now, how much of a flop was that? Because I ain't never even heard of it. Okay. Who else? Jamie Foxx. Yes. He starred in Rock. Remember, he played like a mentally challenged individual. Well, listen, Jamie Foxx was on his way up when he was on In Living Color. Okay, so, you know, he was only going to stay down for a minute. Well, from In Living Color, he went to Rock, and that was an epic fail for him. But look at where he is now. Talk about an A-lister. I am so proud of Jamie Foxx when I see him. When I think about Wanda, I'm ready to go. All right. Who else? I don't even know who that is. That's why she ain't going to be nothing. Donald Glover. And they have him as a flop in Community. That was the name of the show from 2009 to 2015. Well, again, I don't remember who Donald Glover is. I do now know that he is like directing and producing, and he did, what's that? Mr. and Mrs. Smith, which I think was a flop, honestly. Y'all let me know whether y'all like that or not, because I sure didn't. I couldn't get into it. Now, the movie with Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt, but the series, nah. But hey, he's gotten his A-lister status from not just being in front of the camera, but being behind the camera. Wow. Chadwick Boseman was in Lincoln Heights. Now, I'm going to come back to him. 2007 to 2009, Chadwick Boseman was in Lincoln Heights, and they said it was an epic fail for him. Now, let me tell you something. I got to think of his name because I know his name. He played the father. And I got to tell you, Shantice, get that name for me, please. Because I'm looking right at him, and the name is right on the tip of my tongue. But man, the one who played the father in Lincoln Heights, he is everywhere. He is in everything. He's been in Netflix series. He's on BMF as the father. He is everywhere. He is literally everywhere. So he's been around a lot, but yeah, he's definitely come a long way. Kerry Washington. I knew she was going to come up here for some reason. Waterfalls in 2004, they say was an epic fail. But yo, look at Kerry Washington. My girl is holding it down, doing it big time. I'm so proud of her. I am so proud of her. And she's a Bronxite too. Did you know that? Yeah, she's from the Bronx. I spoke to her dad, who is a wonderful, wonderful gentleman. Yes. Big time girl. Regina King. They say she flopped in 227 from 1985 to 1990. Now, that was her not her breakout role, but that was her introduction role. And she sounded like a little whiny girl, Mom, with Calvin. But what's her name? The little one who played the little friend. Oh my goodness gracious. She played on Moesha, and then she had the spinoff with the Parkers. Countess Vaughn was also on 227. She didn't stay long, but she came up and she got her own show. And Regina King is definitely no one to sneeze at. Homegirl is in front of the camera rocking and roll, and she is behind the camera rocking and roll. So big ups to Regina King. All right. Octavia Spencer, who they say bombed in Halfway Home in 2007. And Octavia Spencer has definitely come up. She has definitely come up. Now, I don't even want to mention that one. Queen Latifah. Now, they say that she flopped in Living Single. I agree. I surely don't agree. Don't forget, if you've got someone who you think flopped and then they came up, then put it in chat room because I'm coming to read it. I think Queen Latifah was bad in Living Single. Again, that was her pretty much introduction role. We know she was in what's that movie, Juice. She had some little cameo spots, but she did her thing. I think she was okay. Well, we know she's big time now. Anytime you can handle the Equalizer, it's not on anymore, but you were offered the spot. And that don't come easy. Anthony Mackie, all the way in 2001, and he is all the way live. He is such a cutie. He is so good in his Marvel movies, and he's been in some other movies where he's done really, really well. So big up to Anthony Mackie. Let's see who else is on this list that I even recognize. Tessa Thompson. I just don't like Tessa Thompson. It is just nothing you can tell me about Tessa Thompson that I like about her. She's annoying. But she starred in Veronica Mars back in 2005, 2006. And I'd say she's still whack as ever. Yeah, but listen, her face is all over Hollywood. Yeah, she's done a thing. I got to give it to her as far as getting the credits and roles. Megan Good. Raising Dad in 2001, 2002. Now, Megan Good starred with, what's her name? Journey Smollett and Samuel Jackson and Debbie Morgan in a movie. I think that was her very first movie, and she did pretty well. I don't know, maybe along the line she flopped, but she's come up. She's definitely come up. She's been the face of, that boy toy in movies. So big up to her. Tyler James Williams. Now we know he got his start in Everybody Hates Chris. But go on in 2012, 2013, they say, was an epic flop. But I think he had already sealed his fate when he carried Everybody Hates Chris. And he's been in some good movies. And he's on Abbott Elementary. So big ups to you, Tyler James Williams. Issa Rae, The Misadventures of Awkward Black Girl, 2011 to 2013. Well, we know she had her big breakout role in the Netflix series. And I'm not a big Issa Rae fan. I did not look at the series. I keep hearing that I needed to check it out. But she came a long way, because wasn't she on, they say she was on the internet. Yeah, she was a YouTube star. So yeah, listen, do your thing, girl. Do your thing. So those are people who they have listed. Now let me see if you came up with anybody. Let's see. Russell Hornsby. Thank you, Shantice. He's the one that was in Lincoln Heights. He was in BMF. He's in BMF as the dad, but he's popped up everywhere. What's that? 60 Seconds, I think it was, on Netflix with Regina King. They rocked that role. They did as the parents of a murdered son and trying to get down to the bottom of what really happened. They were excellent together. Let's see who else. Hey, Serge, good morning. How are you? Thank you so much for joining us. Hey there. Here goes my Brooklyn bread. How are you? How are you, Just? All right. Just is calling out Rightus Rising. Okay. You're going to have to tell me what that is. Just, I'm sorry. Shantice is bringing up Lynn Whitfield. Yes, Lynn Whitfield was also, she played the mother, I believe, in what's the name of the show, Shantice? Eve's Bayou. Yes. That's the movie that, what's her name? Megan Good first starred in when she was a kid. And she did pretty good. Her and Jussie Smollett, I think that was both their first movie. Now, Journey. Jussie's the brother. Journey comes from the family. They all got J's in their names and quite a few, but they had like a little kid show. So she wasn't brand new to TV, but that was her brand new movie, and they did pretty well. And she's come up. The role, she hasn't been in a lot of things, Journey, but hey, she's done well in the movies that she's in. Shantice, Issa Rae was great in Insecure. Yeah, Shantice keeps telling me I need to look at Insecure. Listen, talk about flop. I will never forget Dwayne Martin, Patti LaBelle, and Vivica Fox. Trash and Out All Night. Oh, it was straight trash. Now they have her picture in City of Angels, which is where they said Viola Davis flopped. Well, I don't remember Vivica Fox, so she was as well. But listen, she's come up. She's definitely come up, and we know her to be much better. So she was one who came to mind as far as who had a flop role, and now they're on their come up. She's a pretty good actor. If she has the right role, but she got no. All righty, so that's the A-listers and their history. They weren't always A-listers, but listen, all you need is the right role. and you will not go wrong. Oh, the show Between Brothers with Kadeem Hardison, Tommy Davidson, DeAndre Whitfield, and what's the other one's name who ended up being on with Flex Alexander? He was on there too. He played the silly friend. What's his name? You got to come back with the name of that one. Do y'all remember Between Brothers? Yes, Kelly Perrine. Yeah, he played as the silly friend on Between Brothers, and he played that silly friend on One-on-One. And he was excellent in One-on-One. He was funny in Between Brothers, but that didn't last too long. And you had some A-listers there. You had DeAndre Whitfield, who is a very good actor. You got Kadeem Hardison, who, you know, whatever roles he's in, he's pretty good. And you got Tommy Davidson. Don't forget, they're talking about Tommy Davidson taking up that Varnell Hill show sitcom. We'll see. They may have to knock him back down a peg or two. All righty. So what are we talking about when it comes to movies? Let's see. Or the entertainment film. Well, guess who's got a documentary coming out? And the public doesn't seem to see the purpose. So you let me know if you in the chat room if you think this is kind of purposeful. So speaking of Smollett, Jussie Smollett. Now we all remember Jussie Smollett, who was, you know, in this hot water out in Chicago for this potential hoax crime from the Empire series. He hadn't had any other roles other than, like I said, when they were kids, they had that little TV show. Well, he later was actually, they found that the story was true. Because remember, he claimed it happened, and then they said that he ended up hiring the guys who supposedly beat him up. So they had him paying all these fines to the Chicago Police Department and to the city of Chicago. And he did like some 15, 16 days or whatever in jail. And then he got out, but he was mud after that. When I tell you, well, he wasn't really, as far as I know, he was only in one other show outside of Empire. Well, that kind of killed his potential. Now, I believe it was Vivica Fox who ended up giving him another chance. Yeah, she ended up producing or directing some show or movie, and she wanted to give him another chance intentionally. So she called on him to fill one of the roles. Now, this hasn't surfaced yet. We don't know, what it is or how well he does. But he's got a documentary coming out on Netflix about the whole entire hoax issue. Now, he's supposed to be very transparent. They are pulling in people who were actually a part of this process. So they've got, police officers and detectives and lawyers, and all of that is supposed to be incorporated in the documentary. And Netflix is, putting it out there. Now, they are the public, they gave their feedback. Now, he's supposed to, like I said, be talking about every aspect of this hoax crime issue. And they say Jussie Smollett is not a well individual. So much has happened since he walked to Subway in below 0 degree weather for a ham sandwich. They're not feeling him. What else? Somebody says, I will be there. Somebody says, child, as I tune in. Someone else says, I'm seated because I still don't know what went on. I'm interested in knowing why he did that anyway, because there was no reason, someone said. And can't make this up. The Jussie Smollett hoax might be true. Leave it to Netflix, who just announced it on August 22nd. They are releasing a new documentary with new interviews, and I'll be there for the Jussie Smollett. But there are people who are like, listen, if they release this, I'm canceling my Netflix subscription. Jussie Smollett, it ain't worth my time. Yeah, they really went in. They really went in on him. Will I watch it? Probably. And it's not so much of because I'm dying to know what happened, but it's what the heck. I'll watch it. We'll see. I'll let you know. I'll remind you that it's on. All right. So for those who are into, what's his name? Shannon Sharp. Now, there was this huge thing that came out while the Diddy melee was going on about him raping someone. Now, she's in her 20s. He's in his 50s. And he keeps saying that this was consensual. Well, she claims that he raped her not once but twice. And there's a lot of pain and suffering going on. And he's claiming that there's a lot of pain and suffering going on since he has been accused. Well, he ended up paying a whopping $50 million. Now, see, I just can't ever figure out how in the world y'all claiming all this innocence, but Diddy didn't put out 20, 30 million to Cassie. This one putting out 50 million to this chick. I ain't putting out a dime if I'm innocent. Because listen, once the allegations come out, you always gonna be sus. Period. So, I remember him, oh, I didn't do it. And, she's lying. So she's lying twice. Well, first of all, if she's in her 20s and you're in your 50s, you already messed up. Because you are already walking into a potential gold digger. These girls are on the come up. So, dummy, that's what you get. Now, I'm not saying that somebody in an older age would not, make the same claim, but you don't find these women making these claims because a lot of them are already established. They have what they want. If you can add to it, they'll take it, but you're not their sole provider. You go get involved with somebody 20 in their 20s. Yo, listen, at 20 years old, she's sitting on $50 million. So what is she gonna pay the what do you call that? The attorney, what, 4 or 5 million, 6 million, 10 million? That's still $40 million that if she's smart, she can make last for the rest of her life. So she ain't gotta do nothing but have sex with you and come up. So you're the dummy. Stop messing with these young girls. Because now you're always suspect when they start claiming and screaming rape. Now, I'm not saying that he didn't rape her. But what I'm saying is you wouldn't have, maybe it would have been lowered a little bit, the chance of accusation, if you were with someone who was in a more seasoned age range. I'm just saying. All I know is $50 million, you got it. Go ahead and cough it up, dummy. All righty. Let's see. Now, talk about possibly coughing some money up. Cardi B is in the newspaper again. So she was in a Las Vegas performance. During her Las Vegas performance, somehow or another, someone suggests that they throw water on Cardi B. Now, they say that while this was going on, she seemed to be receptive to the idea, and she turned her butt to, to them, and she slapped the butt. So in other words, kind of like a teasing thing, or go ahead and hit me, aim for this, that type of thing. Well, as always, something does not go right. And sure enough, we have a lawsuit that's now in the works because a woman threw what she said was a little bit of water, but yet Cardi B threw the mic at her. Now, I don't know how this exchange took place. So in other words, what I'm saying is, did Cardi B see the woman throw the water, and because she threw the water, she threw the microphone at her? Well, that's how this has happened, that this woman claims that Cardi B threw the mic at her, and now she's in all this pain and suffering, and her shoulder is bothering her. It's a microphone. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Oh, she's pouring it on. And now there's, she's going to court in Las Vegas soon. How these people don't know how to stay out of trouble? I don't know. I don't know how these people don't know how to stay out of trouble. It's like they get into stupid stuff. Stupid stuff. All righty. There's some comments in the chat room. So let me see what's being said before we go on to our regular news. 50 million, he did it. Yes, I agree. It was the same way when Diddy paid all the 30 million, or whatever was it, 20, 30 million to Cassie. You don't pay this kind of money to people when you didn't do it. And you're afraid that later something gonna come out that's gonna prove you did it. All right. She's so stupid. He's the fool. Oh my goodness gracious. Okay, what else are we talking about in the news today? Now for the real news, I got a couple of stories. So, all right. So I don't know how many of you heard about the Florida cop who repeatedly punched this William McNeil Jr. in the face. Now, so the story goes that 22-year-old William McNeil Jr. was pulled over while he was driving, and it became like a real stupid thing. And they claimed that while they were talking to him, he went to reach down for something, and he was asking repeatedly, why am I being pulled over? Why am I being pulled over? And they didn't quite answer him. So they told him to get out. So it says that they have footage from the officer's body camera, as well as video from McNeil himself, his cell phone. And they said that an officer, after stopping him, approached his car. He opened the door. Now, why he opened the door, I don't know. McNeil opened the door and looked out. The officer told him that he did not have his headlights on, and it was during inclement weather. Now, where they are, you must have your headlights on from sundown to sunset, or if there's inclement weather. So if this was in between those times, whether it was inclement weather or not, you would have to have your headlights on. So he claimed that McNeil did not have his headlights on. When he asked McNeil to show his license, registration, and proof of insurance, McNeil asked, could he call a supervisor? and asked again, why am I being pulled over? Well, the officer did, radio for backup and told McNeil to get out of the car, but he would not get out of the car. So he threatened that if he did not get out of the car, he was going to break the windshield. And he did. He broke the windshield when he would not get out of the car. And another officer spoke to McNeil through the passenger side window. You know how when they walk up on a car, they always try to walk up on the other. And the first officer, after he smashed the window, he put his hands and lifted him up out of the car and just started wailing on him. And that's what the body cam and somehow the footage that McNeil was taking showed. So here's the problem. As they watched the video, they said that it was daytime. So there's the first challenge. Why would you stop him for not having on his headlights when it was daytime? Because that's not the rule. They said it also showed that there was no inclement weather. So those are the two clauses that mandate that you put your headlights on. So without him having his headlights on and it was broad daylight, there was no indication of inclement weather, no rain, no nothing. Yet if it's foggy, smoky, foggy, smoky, in between sunset to sunrise and rain, you have to have your headlights on. But there was none of those. They said that they could see inside from the footage that this was not the case. So here's the thing. After all of that, of course, now there's police brutality issues that are being raised, because even if he did not get out of the car, even if after you broke the window, what was the point of hitting him? You never claimed that he was violent. That has not been a claim by the police officers. But the big issue now is they have found that the cops did nothing wrong. That the cop who repeatedly punched him in the face did nothing wrong. And they said, to add insult to injury, the person who made the determination is on this side of the fence. So McNeil is on this side of the fence. The one who made the determination is on this side of the fence. And it's like, how could you say that? Because no matter what, where was the police brutality warranted? If you never said he did anything, then why would you repeatedly hit him? Listen, there's this code blue, this blue shield that they all stand behind. It don't matter what color you are. It don't matter what nationality. It don't matter your age. They're going to take up for one another. So that's what's happened clearly. If he's innocent, if McNeil is innocent, but yet you can't find any justice here, despite footage from two sides, then it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at all. You're going to be the bad guy, and you're always going to be the bad guy when you're up against the people in blue. Plain and simple as that. Shanti said, lies. I saw the video. As soon as the officer broke the window, he punched him in the face, which is what it said. They dragged him out and they all started beating him. Wow. It was daytime, no need for headlights. And says, no, he didn't even finish when the cops broke his window. So they can't even say they thought he was reaching for something. They did. They said that they saw him reaching down and they thought he may have been reaching for something, but they said they thought he was reaching for a knife. So where'd that come from? Did they ever produce the knife? No, never produced it. This is why it's so hard to get people, especially men, to respond to the police. And it's true. We've got this real issue here with, just dishonesty and all that's going on. It's horrific. It's horrific because this is the treatment that everyone is definitely witnessing. That's going on. It is really, really, really bad. Wow, Shanti says, in the video, he didn't even flinch. All right. We've got time for one more quick story. And let's see what's going on here. Okay. Oh. So I thought this was interesting. So out in Great Paris, in Paris, they have found that they are upcharging American people. And it's a big upcharge, sometimes up to 50% of the amount that the regular patrons, people who live in Paris, pay. And what they did was they did like an undercover sting. And they went in, and one was dressed. They were both from Paris, because it was Paris. It was a Paris news that was trying to do this investigation because people have been complaining. So I guess, they want to do, listen, reporters are reporters, right? So they dress up. One dresses purely as someone from Paris. The other person dresses up as like American, baseball cap, clothing, and speaks with an American accent. So they noticed that when the waiters come out, that they're not even treated the same. Some of them are offered water. Some of them are not offered water. They found that some of them were offered like the high-end wine. The others weren't offered high-end wine, or what they were offered the cheap wine. They found that the bill itself had all kinds of hidden charges, but when they pulled up the other person's bill from Paris, it didn't have any of those charges at all. And they said that, this was something that they were hurt by, because like, how do you treat people like that? Now they said both men ordered a lasagna, Coke, and water. This is an example. And one man noticed he was consistently charged quite a bit more. The Frenchman was offered a choice of a small can of Coke or a medium or large glass. He chose the can for $7.63. The other individual was offered a smaller option and ended up putting up $11.15 for the medium size. But yet it was smaller than the size that the other one paid $7.63 for. So they watched this go on. They said that one was charged $11.15 for nothing. Wow. Well, they did quite a bit of this, investigation. They even looked at the tipping, and they say when the bill was served that the French customer was given, the 10% service charge for the tip. But the other one was given 15, the American was given 15%. And they say in both instances, the American paid 50% more than the Frenchmen. So they are ripping people off from America. And can you imagine when the Olympics were there? Oh, they were having big fun. But see, this just didn't start. No, because they said that this has been a consistent complaint. And that's what made them start doing the internal investigation. So we'll see. We'll see how this all works out. Well, we got our Pastor K. Our brother Al is on with us. So, brother Al, if you can hear me, I need you to light up your screen when you're ready so I don't call on you and you're preoccupied. Let's see. Anika says, all the cops have to say is that they were reaching for something to justify their abuse all the time. Shanti said they were trying to get over on Americans. This is what we are on alert for when we travel. Unlike them, when they travel to us, we're not as ignorant of the game that they play. So yeah. They trifling. They're trifling. Why are you going through all of that? Where's Pastor? Oh, there's my brother Al. Come on, brother Al.
Chop of the morning, chop of the morning.
How are you, brother Al?
Oh, everything is good. I'm still at home. I don't work at the other school. I work at my summer camp this morning, so I don't have to be in till about 9:30. So I'm just in the house getting my lunch ready.
All right. Well, we're always happy to have you, brother Al. So there's a documentary that's going to feature Jussie Smollett and the hoax incident out in Chicago. They're going to be pulling in all the players, all of the, police officers and the detectives and the lawyers. And, some people aren't happy. They're like, for what? Will you watch the Jussie Smollett documentary?
I think I would. I want to be a little nosy. I want to see what's going on. I love watching documentaries anyway, so I think I'll take a peek at it and see what's going on.
Okay. I think I'm with you, brother Al. I think I just want to see.
Yeah.
We'll get some insider information. Yeah, we're gonna get some insider information that we didn't get before. So I think I'll take a stab at it. I'm with you, brother Al. Brother Al, we got this Shannon Sharp incident where he's been accused of rape of this young lady, not once but twice. And they have now settled. He says he did not do it, but he has settled for $50 million. What does that say to you, brother Al?
For me, like I tell people, I don't care if I'm not guilty. I am not settling. All right, let's fight it all the way through. But I always look at it and I say that, and it's no disrespect or hurt to anybody. But these people out here that like Shannon Sharp, Wendy Williams, all of them, y'all make y'all career on hurting people, talking about people's stuff. It's all karma coming back to you. It's all karma coming back to you. And that's how I see that. You make your living off hurting people, telling people business, so you can get rated. You're doing all this for rating. Now look at you, But me, I'm not settling. If I know I ain't guilty, I ain't do nothing, you know what? We going to go all the way to court. I ain't going down like that. But I think he had just signed a deal for 100-something million something. So I guess he figured, well, let me just do this and get it out the way. And you should have been messing with that little young girl for anyway. Let's get it right. Just let that little young thing alone.
I agree, brother Al. I'm like, yo, stay in your lane. Stay in your lane. You have so many women who are you're like 30 years her senior. You can't find nobody that you can be with. And
exactly.
No, you're right. Serves you right. Stop, taking advantage. And you figure like you could buy these people. You could flash your money to somebody 20 and change. She gonna look at you, and you look like something big. So now you look like something big, brother Al. You look
Exactly,
like
and
something
not to
big.
put it down like it is, but I'm gonna call it what it is. And not only that, you better off that OnlyFans joint. Like people say, oh, you can use that for no. I've seen the kids, and I'm like, what the heck is OnlyFans? And I looked on there, and the stuff you see on there, and this is where you met her from. You got what you deserve.
Yep. Absolutely, brother Al. Absolutely. Anika says they think settling will save their reputation, but in a way, you're admitting some guilt. Yeah. I'm no, you can listen. How I'm saving my reputation when all the story is out there already? This
Exactly.
ain't something that's underneath the carpet. This was when she claimed she was raped. She made that public. This ain't like when Cassie went to Diddy on the side and asked him for money, and then he said no. So then it came out. No, this is something that this she brought this out on her own. So now, if this ain't saving your reputation, you already smeared. You already
For
smeared.
real.
You're gone.
Yes, indeed.
You gone. You gone, and you're gone. Have you heard of that McNeil story, brother Al, where in Florida they there was police brutality, but yet all of the footage, the body cam from the cop as well as his own camera showed that he did nothing wrong. Did you hear about that?
Yeah, but the guy they punched him in the face and all that in the car.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes, yes.
yeah,
And
yeah.
the big thing now is that they have found that there will be no charges against these police officers because there was no wrongdoing, and they're upset because he's black. How could you? So the question is, how do you make that determination while being black, knowing what black people are going through, black men are going through? What do you think?
Man, it's crazy, and I'm not surprised. When this went down and he did it, I told somebody, I said, watch they say he was reaching for something. And sure enough, he was reaching for a knife. It wasn't reaching for nothing. But I tell especially my young black kids, my older ones as well. When I talk to them, I said, listen, when the cops come, apply, reply, apply to what they're telling you to do. I said, even though you ain't do nothing wrong or whatever. And I said, the reason I'm telling you that is to save your life. You know what I'm saying? Even when they told him to get out the car and everything like that, no, you didn't do nothing, this and that. And you have the right to say this and that. But the world we living in now, they are killing our black men. So you know what? Just get out the car. There's several things he could have did differently to avoid it. Hey, you know what? I'm gonna get out the car. While I'm getting out the car, why are you doing such and such, this and that? Okay, you want to arrest me? Okay. And what people don't know, and I tell them, when the cops stop you and they doing all this, you have the right to say, you know what, I need a supervisor on the scene. And they have to do that. They have to, So these are things that we have to learn to do. And a lot of people look at it, well, well, I got rights, I ain't do the you do. But what good is your rights doing if you're dead? Because they killing us.
Right, right,
So we have to
right,
be at that. And I knew it was going to happen. I said, what? I said, yeah, oh yeah, they're going to say he reached for something. So I'm hoping things work
yeah,
out for him. And here we go again. But yeah, no, he did nothing wrong. You punched that man in his face. What do you mean you ain't do nothing wrong?
right.
Crazy.
Without him posing a threat. He didn't pose a threat because they're questioning. Well, if you thought he was reaching for a knife, then why didn't you draw your gun? But my
Right.
thing is, if you thought he was reaching, you didn't say you thought he was reaching for a gun. You say you thought he was reaching for a knife. So what threat did that pose if he on the inside and you on the outside? The only
Right.
threat was to himself. He doesn't pose a threat if you're on the outside of the car with the car door closed. So the whole
Right.
thing is all messed.
Because if he pulled
The
a
whole thing.
knife and you stand outside, if he pulled a knife and you stand outside the car, you have the chance to back off and protect yourself. So
Right,
yeah.
right, right.
Hmm.
So, wow. Well, you know what? The verdict is already in. They are not going to be charged. I don't know if they're going to take it to another level or not, but that's where it is right now, Brother Al. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Let's say good morning to
Oh
our
yeah.
Pastor K. Good morning, Pastor KL.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. How are you?
I'm okay, thanks. How are you? Thank you so much. I was going to say, am I talking to the top of your head?
Yeah,
That's all I
I,
can
I,
say.
I'm bringing sexy back. It's okay.
You know what? Shanti says now people are pulling knives out on cops. Come on. All right, uh, Pastor KL. So Jussie Smollett is going to put together a documentary. They're putting it together now about the hoax and, why he had to pay Chicago the fine and why he had to pay the Chicago Police Department the fine and if this was really true or not, blah, 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 is going to be on Netflix. Do you think something like this should have even gotten a moment on Netflix or any other network?
Me, I mean, not really. I'm not really that interested. I'm not sure how many more people. Listen, people will be interested just to hear jump. You know what I mean? Just to see what they're gonna say. But I got enough stuff going on than to worry about Jesse and his lying behind.
Well, Pastor KL, they did say that they found out that he was not lying. So that's the final word, which is why I think I want to see it because my thing is, well, if this was closed, how'd you find out that he wasn't lying? And did he get his money back? So those are the kind of questions that I have. Well, how'd you get to that point when supposedly everything was shut down? So I'm just kind of interested in that. Now, this Shannon Sharp business with him being accused of raping a woman twice. She's in her 20s, he's in his 50s, and he's just settled for $50 million. He says, I'm not guilty. But do you pay $50 million if you're not guilty?
Listen, I don't pay $5 if I'm not guilty, let alone 50 million. But I do have a question though. I'm not sure if you guys are privy to the information, but did she get raped twice the same day? Because if you rape me
No,
today, I'm not coming back to you tomorrow. Why would I be in the same position with you another time when I know what you just did to me? So I'm just looking at it
absolutely.
from both sides.
Yeah,
He's
yes.
stupid for dealing with the daycare, and she's stupid for dealing with the counselor. I'm just not understanding.
Yeah. I agree because when I read that they say she accuses him of raping her in October of 2024 and then again in January 25. Well, as Shanti says, you the fool. Because if I couldn't trust you in 2024, he says that this was consensual. So they were dating. And I'm not saying, they always say, when she says no, it's no. I don't know the circumstances in which it went from consensual to rape. However, if you rape me, I will not be around you in January of 2025 alone where you have an opportunity to rape me again. I agree.
Right, right,
It
right.
makes no
I
sense.
mean,
It
it
makes
makes
no
no.
sense.
It sounds to me like it was a setup. That's what it sounds like to me. It was a setup. I needed some money, and let's see how this is gonna play.
Well, it played out to $50 million. She's got her nice little come up. He's 57. She's in her 20s. He's 30 years her senior. And that's what you get for playing in romper room, stupid.
Listen,
All
I
these
told the
women out here.
story. I think I was on with Shantice. I think you were sick, and I told the story how a 28 young lady came in my store and tried to holler at me. And my question was, what will I tell the family at the family reunion? How would I introduce you to my children who's older than you? What do you? I don't understand what Shannon be thinking about. How you're in a relationship with a 20 or 20 something year old young lady who's old enough to be your child? That makes no. I mean, I'm not sure what the sexy is about that. I mean, what conversations are y'all having? I don't watch Barney anymore.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? The only thing I know about Barney is I love you, you love me. But after that, I mean, they got cartoons out here that if my grandchildren are not around, I've never even heard of them.
Absolutely. But again, this is not about, a serious relationship, because when you're in a serious relationship, you're right. You're concerned about conversation and what we really have in common and things like that. And those are the kind of things that an older woman would have been looking for. But when you're messing around with these younger girls, you got your eye on one thing. She's eye candy. She's for that particular purpose. And you're too stupid to figure out, I need to leave this alone because this can
But you know what?
backfire.
Listen to what you just said. Okay, so she's eye candy. Me in my senior and wisdom age, I don't even want to be seen with you because that within itself is a story. That within itself is explanation. That within itself is tabloids. So I mean, I don't understand that. This brings a whole nother level. The young folks back in my days would talk about, booty calls. But now the price of booty went up. This is ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
$50 million?
$50 million. And I agree. I agree that eye candy for 57 to a 20 something year old, you look like a pedophile.
Right.
You straight look like a pedophile. Because if you back that up a few years, she was a kid. She was a kid when you were dealing with her. And she's still a kid. So why are you almost 60 years old looking at somebody who's your granddaughter's age?
Listen, candy is going to give you diabetes. And diabetes can kill.
Well, get that information to Shannon Sharp. Terrence says, Anika says, I was just thinking that. How do you get raped twice? Yes, and I purposely looked for that, and that's what. And I just read it to you. Terrence says he's just an easy target. Yeah, because you're stupid. You're an easier target when you're stupid. With all that's going on, oh my goodness gracious, you're not the first and you won't be the last. With all that's going on, you can learn from what's going on around you. You're a dope. You're a dope. So you know what? Have your way, have your way, have your way. Yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead. All
You
right.
know what? And
we got this
him of all people who exposes others, he should be more safe than this. He should be smarter than this.
Right. That's what I'm saying. With all that's going on, with all that you're reporting, with all that you're talking about, you got caught in the web. You're a
Right.
dope. I'm sorry. You're stupid. That was straight stupid. And this is why I said, this is for status. This is for clout. It's because you got the little eye candy. You thought it was going to be a quickie. You talk about it was consensual. It was consensual, all right. She consensually went up into that room with you because she was looking at her dollars. So listen, you're not very smart at all. All right, so you got this Florida cop who repeatedly punched William McNeil Jr. in the face, and only to find out that these cops will not be charged at all.
I mean, I'm not surprised. That's it's a story where you think somebody gonna say, "Oh my God, it's so bad." I mean, are we surprised? We shouldn't be surprised. I'd be surprised if they all went to jail or they all lost their job. That would be the
Absolutely.
surprise. I mean, I always say, there's no
Absolutely.
justice for us. So no, I'm not surprised. You know, a knife, really, a knife. I have a gun and you have a knife, but I feel threatened. That makes no sense. Make it make
Mhm.
sense, people.
Well, here's the thing. They're bringing up the fact that the person who made this decision is another black man. He is a black sergeant, a sheriff, and he made the determination that these cops would not be charged. That's what is really getting the attention. Do you feel that, this is a surprise or not?
No, I'm not surprised. Remember, there's always a house Negro. Always. Listen, the house Negro is the one that controls the people in the house and in the field.
Mm,
You know what I mean? There has to be someone to control us. And then a lot of times, this is what I find: a lot of black, African American, if you will, officers are scary men. They scared.
mhm.
I mean, and I guess with injustice of being scared, but this is not the profession for you. If somebody can come out with a knife and you're
Mhm.
going to shoot them or you're going to kill them, you're scared.
Right,
You have
right.
no emotional intelligence at all. But of course, again, they have to put somebody to sound the alarm.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I too am not surprised. I'm too not surprised. Like I said, what's that blue wall that's up? So they're gonna back one another up. They're not helping you. I don't care unless you their brother. They're not, they're not on to you. They're not on for you. So, oh well, you just happen to be the Negro at the time. So, feel sorry for you, but my men are innocent. They didn't do anything wrong. Okay. Sharon says everyone messes with younger people, men and women, but that's only okay. They only care about the ones they can take money from. Absolutely. You're not a target if you broke. There ain't nothing for them to get from you. And Shati says these cops are disgusting. Absolutely, absolutely, and absolutely. Hmm. So, gentlemen, I have something that I thought was really interesting to discuss today. Oh, how did I mix that up? It was that. It was that. Wow. Did I mix that up? Hmm. I
You,
must have been
you were
delirious
right. It was
last night.
interesting. You was right. It was interesting.
Oh my goodness. Where's brother Al? So I'm gonna switch gears with us. I gotta improv. So we have this what do we want to say? This, oh my goodness. The atmosphere. What's the scariest atmosphere that's going on in the schools now for you?
Oh man, the scariest atmosphere that's going on in the school right now is there is so many. I want to say um with them pushing these kids through, pushing these kids through the school. It's like now, like I said, I got a student that's going to the 11th grade and reading on a sixth grade reading level. and they pushing them right on to the 11th grade. You know, you got some kids who have. I looked at a kid report yesterday, and she's in the ninth grade going to the 10th. She got all 55. She failed every single class. It's no way she can make all that up in summer school, and but they're gonna push her to the next grade. So that's the scariest atmosphere, is that they just pushing these kids, doing these kids are learning nothing. And these are the kids that you're pushing out in this world to basically run this world.
So do you find that it's the black kids that they're doing it to?
Um, no, they actually doing it to all the kids. It's just that my school is black dominated, but when I was in the other school that was mixed, they do it. They find a way. Like, you know, I've seen principal go to teachers and say, "Listen, I know this kid hasn't done much work, but I need this kid to pass." And so the teacher, of course, they don't want to lose their job, or they scared to speak up. They get a kid at least a 65. A 65 is passing, but this kid done no work.
Now, is it because they need the grade of the school to, look good on paper? Because we can go online and they call it the school report card, and
Mhm.
it rates the school, like how many graduates and what's the reading percentile, what's the math percentile. Do you think that that's what's taking the focus right now?
Oh, most definitely. It's all about the numbers. It's all about the number. How can I keep my school ranked up in the number? Yeah, you got this kid graduating. Yeah, he graduated, but he can't read. So what actually did you do? So it's all about the numbers. That's definitely.
Do you think the only thing that the teachers are concerned with is losing their job? Is that the only
Yes.
concern you have?
Yes, that's why they won't speak. I speak to so many of them. They be like, "Well, you can't say that. You know, I need my job. I don't want to lose my pension. I don't." And that's all I hear. And I'm just like, wow. You know, they ask me, I speak up. I don't care. Yeah, because I already got a plan. You fire me for speaking up, I'm gonna go to every news station possible and tell what's going on in these schools.
Hey, just go to Shannon's
Okay.
shop. Go to Shannon. Go to Shannon.
I'm gonna call them up. I'm gonna call them up. But yeah, they scared. They really, really scared. I mean, these teachers are terrified of losing their job. So they go along with it.
Wow. But let me ask you something. What are the parents saying? The parents don't know that these kids can't read, Brother Al?
The parents is just as worse, because they'll come up and beg. Oh, what can my child do? I don't want him to repeat the grade. What can he do to do it? I'll make sure that he do it. Okay, we're now in June. He been here since September. He got 8 months of work missing. Oh, I'll make sure he do every day. And I'm just like, wow. And one parent asked me, is like, well, what would you do? I said, I would request for my child to get left back. Because what help am I doing by pushing him to the 9th grade? If he can't do 8th grade work, what makes you think he can do 9th grade work? And she looked at me. Okay. I said, I'm just a different person. So the parents are just as worse. And they terrified of the parents. So when the parents come up and they want this and that, they try to do whatever the parent does. My assistant principal, which is a female, told me, Mr. Bynum, you got to understand that the parents are our customers. I said, oh, I didn't know we were selling something. Don't call me into the meeting, because I'm going to stand my ground.
Wow. Let me see what this chat room says before I go to Pastor KL. So Serge says, these Jackson cops been in the news too many times for the same thing over and over again. They need to do something. Absolutely. And that's another issue that they need to address big time. Good morning, Majesty. How are you? Thank you for joining us this morning. Terrence says, they're passing the kids. The principal needs these incentives. Yeah. they're they're just really, like I thought, it's just about the numbers. They want that report card to look really good. Majesty says, honestly, the Department of Education has been doing that. Happened to me. Wasn't supposed to go to high school in 8th grade, but they just pushed me right through. Wow. And it wasn't because I wasn't capable. I just didn't do the work, being a kid and not listening. So how do you, as a person who's saying, this is what they did to me, how do you make that up, Majesty? Tell us that while I talk to Pastor KL. So Pastor KL, you got these schools that want to have a great report card, so they push the kids through. You, Brother Al, and myself know that they've been doing this a long time. And how has this, let's say, led to the breakdown of our children?
Well, I mean, cut and dry, our children are dumb. That's the breakdown. I had a 9-year-old come in my store. I want to say Sunday, and he bought 3 bags of chips. 3 bags of chips equal to $1.64. He gave me a handful of change. So I said, "Hey, it's $1.64. Why you give me this handful of change? How much is this change?" "I don't know." The man gave me $7.20 worth of change for $1.64.
Wow.
And as I put the $1.70 in the register, the man is walking out with the 3 bags of chips without getting his change because he thinks that was enough. I said, "Hey, come back here. You got change." I said, "How is it that you go into a store with a handful of change and don't know how much you're giving?" I said, "Somebody's going to rob you." "Well, I don't know how to count." You're 9 years old.
Wow.
And how is that okay with your parents? That you're 9 years old and can't count? That's pretty sad.
Big time, big time, big time, big time. Let's see what's in the comments. Hey, Tamika, good morning. How are you? Thanks for joining us. Shanti says the middle school wanted to keep me in the building for 9th grade because they didn't feel like I was ready. My mom told them to keep me there. I didn't go to high school building until 10th grade. Absolutely. We're not playing that. You're not sliding through. When they told me that they were going to keep her in the high school, in the junior high school, not the same grade, but they just didn't think she was ready, I went skipping to work. I was I was easing on down the yellow brick road. And my boss, he asked me, why was I so happy? I said, because if she's not ready, then she needs to stay back in order to get ready. I don't want her pushed through. He didn't suggest that she get pushed through. He was just asking me what was all the excitement in me about. And I was excited because there was a group of teachers who were honest. And it could only benefit her at the end. So it didn't matter whether she was upset, whether she was happy, whether she was crying, whether she was smiling. It didn't matter to me. All I know was, you know what? You sit there, you marinate another year. And if it's time for you to move, God says you'll move. But other than that, you don't need to go nowhere. You don't need to go anywhere. Anika says, uneducated kids help to fuel the prison system. Majesty says, when we were younger, the algorithm was different. Thank you. Was different. Kids now don't know simple things like penmanship. It's a lot that the school system is removing to keep them kids at a disadvantage. A lot of the change in the curriculum is solely so we can keep up with the other communities, the other countries. China has, or Asia, the continent has a huge education level of their numbers are superb. Pakistan and all of they may be like countries that don't have a lot of money, but the education system is much different than our education system is, because our children have other things to worry about here. So it goes down. Brother Al, you want to comment on the
Yes.
fact that they're trying to keep up with other countries, and that's why our math has changed, and that's why our reading has changed, that's why the curriculum has changed, that's why they've moved into strategy, opposed to the answer may not be right, but they want to know, they try to teach you the strategy, and that's because that's the way the other countries run.
Well, see, other countries they have a plan on how they do things. I think they're trying to be more advanced than the other countries, and it's not working. I give you a perfect example. I
Yeah,
think it's
yeah.
China. It's like China. I was watching a documentary on their school system, and what they do when a kid come into school from kindergarten. So from kindergarten to third grade, they teach the kids how to write a little. They teach them how to read. Other than that, there's no janitors in the school. The kids have to clean up the school themselves.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
learn to learn to get along with each other. They learn to respect. They teaching them life skill. Like that's his. You respect
Mhm.
that. Okay, you get along with
Right,
this person. They teach them that skill. When they get about fourth grade,
right.
they start doing more stuff and start taking tests and stuff. I kids come in and they know what to do here. We got tests coming. This kid talking about, oh, he can't take the test because he got anxiety. And I asked him, I said, his mother opted him out of the test. I said, you have anxiety? He said, yeah. I said, what is anxiety? He couldn't even tell me. But mom came up to school, oh, my child got anxiety, so I'm opting him out of taking the state test. I was like, wow. I said, do you understand that your child is going to be taking tests for the rest of his life? This is just practice for him.
That's right. That's right. That's right. This is just a training ground.
Training ground, right?
Absolutely.
And the parents don't get it. They'll come up in, no, I opt my child out. Okay, I can't force you to, but you're hurting him. But okay, I'll take him off the list. So, like I said,
Mhm.
I think that the U.S. is trying to be more advanced than the other countries, but doing it wrong. Because, like I said, the kids can't write in script. The kids can't tell time. Put a analog clock in front of them. They cannot tell the time.
Hey,
They
brother
cannot
Al,
tell. It's sad.
brother Al, I got a
Yeah.
question for you. So, is it an
Uh,
option that they can come off the list because the parents don't want them to take a test?
yeah. The parents complain so much. Like I said, the school system is terrified of parents. So the parents complain so much. Oh, it's too much work, this and that. So now they put in an option when they have these state tests, you can opt out or you can let your child take it. So yeah, they put it in as an option.
And you can still pass without
Yep.
taking the test.
Yep.
So at that point, then the parents is the one that's handicapping the child,
Right. That's
not the
Right. That's why I
student.
absolutely.
said the parents is worse.
Absolutely.
That's why I said the parents are
Absolutely.
worse. Yeah.
I keep telling y'all,
Exactly.
these kids can't get out of their own home. They're worried about pedophile. They're worried about the sex offender. They can't get out of their own home. The parents are doing the damage. There's no way in the world. If I'd rather you take the test and fail. You tried to take it, you did the best that you could, and you failed, than to just say, oh, well, she has anxiety, so she's not going to take the test. Come on, Pastor KL. What damage is that doing to the
I mean,
children?
you know what? And this just brings us up. When we start school or we start the world, for lack of a better word, we are all ignorant. We're all ignorant because we have not learned what we're supposed to learn. So we're all ignorant to the 2+2 and put the circle in the round hole. We're all ignorant to this. I'm so tired of hearing about this mental stuff. You know what I mean? We got anxiety. No, your child is dumb. Let's start there. My child is dumb. And we have to fix this. What can we do to help them progress? Until we deal with what the issue is and stop making an excuse for it or putting a Band-Aid on it or putting a blanket on it, we're not going to solve the problem. If I keep on burning the eggs because the flame is too high, unless I lower the flame, the eggs are going to burn. So at some point, you got to be able to tell me, listen, this is the reason why you can't cook. It's because you're doing this wrong. You have the whole systematic wrong. You have to tell me, listen, I look like a clown. Stop putting all this makeup on. You're putting it on wrong. You have to tell me this stuff. But when you allow me to go out and look like this and speak like this and never address this, now it's the problem of everybody else except for me, and I'm your caregiver, I'm your provider, I'm your head, then the problem is you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Majesty says it's a lot, even telling the time on a clock without the numbers, and I've seen it. Yeah, we talked about that here. You can't tell the time. You cannot tell the time. If I have a watch with nothing on it, nothing, because I've seen those watches with nothing. There are no lines, there are no numbers, there are no stars, no stripe, nothing. I can tell you what time it is. I can tell you, because that's all we had, and we mastered that thing. So like you said, whether they have things on it or nothing on it, it is useless to them, an analog clock. Shati says, anxiety, I cannot. Majesty says, everyone wants to diagnose themselves now. And the next comment, Anika says, schools just worried about their stats and good rates. Shanti, she's going to have real anxiety when you can't get your there and there and there together and can't distinguish between weather and weather. Serge says, your child is dumb. Laugh out loud, that part. Tamika says, this is why little Johnny goes grocery shopping for mom and can't tell the difference between apple juice and vinegar. As a parent, it's your personal responsibility for your child's education. Guard it with your life so that they don't grow malnutritional. Listen, I don't know, and I want to just, we got a couple of minutes. I want to talk about this. If you don't finish the foundation of elementary school, if you don't do everything that has been designed in elementary school, you will be a failure at life. And I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to come back. But Brother Al, what do you say towards that statement?
You're absolutely correct, because you just look at it this: you building a building, but you haven't finished the foundation. That building is going to fall. They love me in the school because I stand my ground when they give excuses. Oh, my child got ADHD. Well, you know what? The owner of JetBlue has ADHD, and he's the owner of JetBlue. So stop with the excuses. He does, and he owns. I read about it. He's the owner of JetBlue. He got ADHD. He spoke about it, and so I said it's an excuse. They always call me to talk to the parents because I'm stern. I'm very respectful, but I stand my ground. I don't let the parent come in and say whatever you got to say. Oh, this school is this, and that. I'm gonna take my child out. I said that's fine if you want to do that, but if you don't stop the problem, they're gonna go to the school and you're gonna have the same issue. And you have to keep. Absolutely. You have to keep on a personal level. You have to keep instilling this in the kids because they hear you. A quick perfect example: when I'm in school and I come in the morning, they got me in the cafeteria. I come in the cafeteria, the kids have sleep or they kind of out. I come in the cafeteria loud. They're like, Mr. B, why are you so loud? I said, you know why I'm loud? I said, because the good Lord woke me up this morning. And I said, because somebody died last night and they didn't wake up this morning. So I'm happy that I'm alive. And I say it so much till, I got a little table where the kids come sit with me. And I came in loud, and one little girl said, Mr. B, why are you so loud? And another kid was like, well, he's loud because the good Lord woke him up this morning. That's why he's loud. I said, oh, it's getting through. It's getting through. I said, okay. So they hear you. And we just have to do our best. But our parents got to sit back and say, you know what? I'm hurting my child. Let this go. If my child got to get left back, then so be it. I'd rather him get left back and learn it. And then the kids are serious too. I have some kids that had to do summer school. I said, well, why you a smart kid? Why you didn't do? Well, I ain't feel like doing my work, and I know I could just come to summer school. They push 8 months into 6 weeks. So the kid was smart. He said, yo, I ain't had to do my work. I come to summer school, do this little stuff, and I'm gonna pass anyway. I'm like, wow.
Wow, the mentality is
Yeah.
crazy. Pastor
Yes.
KL,
Yes.
we're talking about if you do not go through the foundational life and lesson of K through 12, you're not going to make it in life. Do you agree?
Definitely, you can't build a building on a foundation that's not solid. You have to start from the ground level first, and make sure there's a solid flooring in order to build upon it. We're not building with anything. We're just throwing folks out there with a book and a pen and say, okay, you have the tools, but we're not showing them how to use the tools. So now you're mad because the child is frustrated because my pencil point keeps breaking. You never said, but there's a sharpener. You never said, but if you don't have the sharpener, get you a knife. Because see, back in our days, we didn't have sharpeners. We had a knife and we cut the pencil, the number 2 pencil, and we made the point. Those are part of foundation that we had to have in order to get to the next level.
Yes.
We could not wait until the sharpener came here because we might have never found a sharpener. And then what would we do? Sometimes we had to break the pencil in half so that our sister could have one and we could have one, and we just sharpened it. And we had to share the same eraser. So y'all don't know nothing about that. That's foundation, And if your parents don't know the foundation, there's no way that you can grow. Now I'm gonna go one more further, and then I'm gonna get off. So watch. You need God in your life because that's the foundation. And God's job is to multiply. Now let's go from the math aspect. So you say 2 plus 2. Now I'm saying plus. 2 plus 2 is 4. Now 2 times 2 is 4. That's the addition. But now when you get to the next level, 2 plus 3 is 5. But 2 times 3 is 6. God is giving you a place where he wants you to be multiplied, not just added. Because when you add 2 and 3, that's 5. But when you multiply 2 times 3 is 6. So that's one extra than the addition. God doesn't deal with the addition. He wants to multiply you. Now, in order for you to multiply, you need the foundation of what 2 plus 2 is, what 2 times 2 is. You need that foundation in order to understand where you're going in the multiplication.
Pastor KL trying to preach, Brother Al.
I was getting ready to say the doors of the church are open. The doors of the church is open. Come by letter.
Very good. Very good analogy. Very good analogy. I was thinking about when you said, Brother Al, that the CEO of JetBlue, has ADHD. I looked at a list quite a few years ago of all of the actors who have dyslexia. And it is the way you see the words and the numbers. And sometimes it's reversed, sometimes it's, all kinds of things. Tom Cruise has dyslexia. Now, Tom Cruise has been in some blockbuster movies. So it just, that's an indication that your handicap, your disability does not have to stop you. So, with all these parents and when I tell you A-listers, black and white, A-listers, Whoopi Goldberg was on that list as well. So I can't remember some of the other people, but A-listers, I was like, what? These are people who are making $30 million, $40 million, $50 million a movie. And they have to learn lines and learn blocking, and they're doing, action-packed stuff and all kinds of things. So we are the ones who are handicapping our children instead of teaching them how to learn and progress with the disabilities. Instead, we're just removing life from them. And I like the the response you gave her, that he's going to be taking tests for the rest of his life. It's going to be, whether it's a written test or an oral test, mental test, you're going to be tested for the rest of your life. And they don't think about these things. Brother Al, Pastor KL, thank you so much for your contribution into today's conversation. And we pray you have a blessed day. Blessed weekend. Thank you.
You too. You too.
Thank you. Oh boy. I've said over and over and over and over and over again, these parents are their children's worst enemy. These are the same parents that will not allow them to go to church. These are the same parents that do not encourage their children, to go to church because they have no motivation. They don't allow them to go to church. They don't send them with anyone to church. So if I don't want it, it's okay because I'm going to give it to them, which was the mentality from years ago. I want better for my children. And I remember, back in the day, your parents pushed you. They pushed you, so us Gen Xers, we come from the baby boomers. They pushed us. I told everybody here before how I learned how to tell time. My parents literally made a clock. My father made a clock and wrote those numbers, 12 through 11. And he sat down with a big hand. He had put a big hand. He had put a little hand. And my mother was the one who said, write 5, 10, 15, 20. So we had to learn both. And he went through that for 1 hour. 1 hour. Move those hands around. What's this? Move those hands back. What's that? Move it like this. Put it even in between the numbers. And not only did we have to learn 5, 5 after, no, let me say it this way, 8:05. We had to learn how to say 5 after 8, 9:15. We had to learn all of that in an hour. 1 solid hour. So he then came with 2 bowls of ice cream. He said, either you can eat this as ice cream or you can drink the milk. And he said, every time you get it right, you can take a scoop of ice cream. Every time, a spoonful of ice cream. Every time you get it wrong, you gotta leave it. Well, baby, we ate ice cream. My grandmother she didn't have a great education, but boy, was that one intelligent woman. And her children and her grandchildren were going to be educated, or we were going to talk and act like we were educated. There were going to be no dummies in her family, and she ensured whatever you were going to stay in school, you were going to do this, you were going to do that. She really pushed and supported from the pulpit. She would speak words, and my cousin and I would say, "Is that in the dictionary?" I mean, it would even the sermons and the Sabbath school lessons were built. The foundation was like vocabulary, where people are just teaching Bible. She was like, "No, you gonna learn it." I mean, she was extrapolating, excommunicating. I mean, vicissitudes. What? But baby, when you step away, your brain was like powerful. She would make sure you learned how to spell. We used to have to take spelling tests for the books of the Bible. We had to learn the books of the Bible in order. We had to spell other names in the Bible. She would make you recite things. And boy, by the time Shantice came around, she was reciting. That's why Shantice's memory is so great when it comes to Bible verses. My brain is fried. I used to be Shantice. But I'm saying all of this to say, these days and times, we've been allowed, the children have been allowed to become as lackadaisical and as lazy as the parents. There is no pushing. See, the Gen X's, we're pushing. That's our thing. You know, it's like my granddaughter's like, I don't think so. What you doing? Or how are you speaking? She's not even allowed to say good. You're not good. You're fine. Thank you. Speak with intelligence. This is stuff that it seems like it stopped at the Gen X. There was no more pushing. There was no more, Brother Al is from the Gen X. If Brother Al is serving the children of the millennials, this is why. Because there's been a breakdown between them and us. And like I've said on here before, there's that last little tail end of the millennials that say, I was raised by a Gen X and they didn't play. So that's the side of them that doesn't play. And you got the other side of the millennials that are just, they're resentful and they are going to fight back in the wrong way. And they are handicapping and killing their children. So I'm on a mission to get our Gen Zs and our Gen Ys, because the Ys are the millennials, and get them to become better parents, think on things differently. I'm looking at our alphas, which are like the 10-year-olds and things like that now. And I'm on a mission. God has me on a mission to gather these three sets: Ys, Zs, alphas, and help to put them on the right track, because I see the breakdown. And I remember what we had, that village, not only your family village, but your neighbors and teachers and everybody just pulled together. And let me tell you something, when you got tore up in class, it wasn't me. I ain't about that life. It wasn't then. When they tore you up in class, the teacher sat there and they made sure you didn't abuse. But if your child got tore up, you got tore up. Because if your parent had to show up to that school and they had a job that they should have been on, or you embarrassed them by your behavior, or you were disrespectful, which was not tolerated, if they had to show up, my parents never had to go to school. I made sure my parents never had to go to school, because I did not want to deal with the repercussions of that. This is what's happening now. But even more importantly than the foundational breakdown of education, the foundational aspect of life, and the fact that our firm foundation, it was built, has been built, and was designed to be Jesus. We really believe that we don't need God. We really believe that we don't need to be in church. We really believe that we are getting this done. Who lied to you? All good and perfect gifts come from above. And there is nothing you can do on your own. It has never been, it is not now, and it will never be. Because if that's the case, we wouldn't need God. But you see what this world is like. If you listen to your news, if you read the news, if you are here every day with us, you see what this world is without Jesus. Those without Jesus are out of their minds. That's what's happening. That's where the breakdown is coming from. All this issue of mental illness and, the hatred and the killing of our children, and they don't stand a chance, because they don't think they need God. And God has gotten to the point where he said, you don't want me? Hands off. So unfortunately, we have, as a people, as humans, we have come to accept the deficiencies, because we're so busy looking at what we got. We're not looking at what we're missing. We are so busy settling that we don't realize that we're living in a deficient situation. God says, I have treasures stored up for you in heaven that there will be people who will never access. Now, he's not waiting for you to die and go to heaven to get these treasures. But I'm talking about treasures right here. And when he says, I have treasures stored up in heaven, that means with him. That doesn't mean you're going to heaven and you're going to go get them and come back. No. But God has everything in his possession for you. Do you want it? See, I've come to a point in my life a while ago. I've come to a point in my life. I don't want to live deficiently. I don't want to live. I'm living from paycheck to paycheck. I don't want to live where I ain't got no money after, and there's no enjoyable moments for me because I'm so busy paying rent or paying mortgage, and because I haven't really given God. So remember yesterday I talked about the just as well as the unjust, where God is just blessing, me and allowing me, because he wants my kids to have. He's got to give it to me. And when my kids get older, I'm jacked up because I ain't got nothing and they got it. No, I want everything that God has for me. I want blessings. I want riches. I want wisdom. I want knowledge. I want health. I want all of that for my children and for my granddaughter. And I can't hope for these things if I don't give Jesus my life, because it's a give and take. We can't keep taking from God, but our hands are open. We can't keep taking from God and then our hands are open. We have to understand that I need that firm foundation in my life, because as Brother Al and Pastor KL said, hey, if I don't have the firm foundation of Jesus, then all of this is wood, stubble, and hay, as my grandmother used to say. You have nothing solid underneath you. So come on. We had a spectacular conference. And one of the things I said during the beginning of the week was that it was fantastic, but it wasn't as attended as well as last year. But I have to tell you, this is the first year where I had people tell me afterwards, I need to come to church. I got to get into church. That has not happened in the past 2 years. With all the people who came through, that has not happened. So it also goes to show you it's not quantity, but quality. The quality of the presenters were phenomenal. And it gave people food for thought, and they realized that I need a savior today. So if you've been contemplating, if you've been thinking about it, if it's something that's been on your mind, come on. I see the Shanti's put up in the chat room my number that you can reach me at. And come on. I'll be right here waiting for you. You've been watching It's Due Time with Pastor Steph. Join us Monday through Friday from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. where we discuss matters of the heart, mind, and spirit. As you go through your day, be sure to set your mind on things that are above, not things that are on the earth. They will only serve as a distraction. Please do not miss the opportunity to give Christ your life right now. Please do not miss this time to strengthen that relationship with the Lord right now, because later is not promised to any of us. It's Pastor Steph signing off, and I want to thank my Due Time crew, the men, for taking us into a thought-provoking weekend. Thank you for hanging out with us and keeping that chat room alive. Well, this might be the first time we may be able to get a Sunday night prayer in. So stay tuned, and we'll let you know. The announcement will go out. So make sure that you have subscribed. Hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, so that whenever we load up here on, this YouTube channel, you're notified, okay? And you will be able to see everything we do, all right? So until then, God spares. I love you.